Will the Committee of Supply please come to order? This section of the Committee of Supply will now consider the estimates of the Department of Agriculture. Does the Honourable Minister have an opening statement?
I sure do.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to bring opening remarks on the Department of Agriculture's budget for 2024. The agriculture and agri-food sector are the backbone of provincial economy. They directly contribute 7.2% of the Manitoba GDP and over 5% of provincial jobs. Agriculture and Agri-Food International exports $9.39 billion in 2023. Our mission is to foster the sustainability growth of Manitoba producers and ag processors through the innovative, reliable support and services. Budget 2024 addresses several key components, ensuring a strong and competitive agriculture sector. Agriculture is key to Manitoba's economy. A strong agriculture sector needs the reliability and responsive tools to assist producers in managing the risks. We want to ensure farmers are competitive and sustainable while navigating the impacts of climate change. In total, the 2024 budget includes $146.9 million in support towards business risk management programming. And of that, $33.8 million is funded for ag stability and protecting producers from declining margins due to market risks, production losses, as well higher input cost. As well, almost $16 million is for Ag Invest to help producers manage smaller income declines and make investments in the management risk. 5.2 is for wildlife damage compensation to compensate producers who lost losses from damage from crops and livestock predation. In addition, almost $92 million in the budget is allocated for the province's share of ag insurance premiums. Total premiums, including federal producer contributions, is estimated at $385 million. Premiums for ag insurance will be lower in 2024 for most crops, with the average premium for annual crops expected to be $16.21 per acre compared to $19.21 per acre in 23. In total, Manitoba Agriculture Services anticipates providing $4.9 billion of coverage to 7,650 producers farming over 9.5 million acres. To be effective, agriculture programs must also have accessibility to producers. My mandate letter commits me to ensuring producers have the support they need close to home. That's why the budget includes funding to support Manitoba Agriculture Service corporations, open to 2 additional service centres to better serve producers in Manitoba. In 2021, a significant amount of MASC offices were closed across Manitoba. And a recent service delivery review determined that western part of Manitoba was underserved for physical locations. The addition of 2 service centres demonstrates the commitment to keep MASC offices open and ensure clients have a shorter distance to travel to access the importance of agriculture programs offered through MASC and the department, such as ag insurance, hail insurance, wildlife damage compensation, and agriculture lending. The budget also includes funding for other innovation important to the sector, including funding target to address the veterinarian shortages. The 2024 budget includes $135,000 to implement the veterinarian medical service strategy, focusing on retending, and increasing the number of practicing veterinarians, medical professionals underserved in areas in the province, and an emphasis on large animal vets. This funding will support tuition rebates for students trained at Western College Veterinary Medicine and funding for 5 additional seats in the summer Vet Step program for students at the WCVM. Funding for these initiatives recognizes the importance and the reliable network of veterinarians and veterinarian technicians to agriculture sector, enabling economic impact for the commercial animal industry and grow exports. The budget also proposes the realignment of resources with the department to provide a more strategic focus on animal health and welfare, research, and innovation. The creation of the provincial veterinarian position to the head and the team focused on animal welfare will provide for strengthening welfare practices, commercial operations through leadership, partnership with the livestock producer groups, and will help build a stronger relationships with the northern and remote and Indigenous communities to improve dog control and reduce the risks to residents. Reorganizing of production divisions will be an important component of achieving mandates set out in a letter from the Premier to support innovation and research in agriculture. Our part of reorganizing includes the creation of a branch focused on research, innovation, and extensions that will support more focus on applied research and the extensions of knowledge to producers on best management practices and a new technology enhancing sustainability agroeconomic systems at a producer level. In addition, included in 2024 budget, we have also made commitments to fund several important initiatives under the Canada-Manitoba Sustainable Canadian Agriculture Partnership. A cost-shared agreement that provides up to $221 million in investments over 5 years to support sustainable development of agriculture and agri-food sectors. Overall, agriculture's budget for 2024 addresses the priorities of government and recognizes the importance of a strong agriculture sector to the provincial economy. And I may say, off script, being an agriculture producer for 35 years of my life, there is obviously the utmost importance of business risk insurance programs, innovation, opportunities of further development as we are dealing with climate change, we are dealing with a number of uncontrolled circumstances. The reality of our agriculture producers are faced with rising cost, input cost, and through our business risk insurance programs in partnership with the federal, with the producers and our government, that we need to fulfill a balanced approach of sustaining the importance of agriculture in the province of Manitoba. And more importantly, the rural economic development component is very key in our opinion. So those are my closing comments at this stage of the game.
We thank the minister for those comments. Does the critic from the official opposition have an opening statement? The honourable member for Portage-La Prairie.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. I'd like to thank the minister and the department officials for being here today. I think this is a great opportunity to get some information on the record about the important work of the Agriculture Department and how it facilitates the entire agriculture and agri-food sector that contributes so much to the Manitoba economy and our GDP. We, of course, have a very diversified economy here in Manitoba, and our agriculture sector itself is one of the most diversified in Canada and North America. Manitoba is, after all, the gateway to the West and home to the oldest agricultural communities in Western Canada, dating back over 200 years. We now have grown into one of the most mature modern agriculture regions in the world, innovating and implementing some of the best agricultural practices and producing some of the highest quality agriculture and food products for consumption here in Manitoba, but also being exported to the United States and all around the world. Winnipeg and my home community of Portage-La Prairie have been major agricultural centers and built their economies on the grain trade and food processing and agriculture supply business that I worked in myself for over 27 years. we can connect many Manitobans' employment in one way or other to the ag sector. So today, I think I'd like to ask the minister to expand on the importance of agriculture sector here in Manitoba and some of the work Agriculture Department is facilitating our agricultural trade and exports, as well as how they are assisting farmers in implementing those best practices and managing risks, whether they're market risks, weather risks that farmers in the entire agriculture sector have to manage from time to time. I will also have some specific questions about the operations of the department and the minister's office and staffing, crop insurance, farm programs, and MASC. I'd like to get as much on the record in the time that we have for the sake of the public or anyone that might be listening or looking back at Hansard, whether that be the media, farmers, or the general public that has the interest in agriculture. So I think we can have a good discussion here today. I know the minister has been a farmer, and this is the second stint as agriculture minister. So I expect he'll be able to answer questions quickly, directly, and put some good information on the record. I also want to, if I can introduce my team as well too, or is that not appropriate at this time? So with me today is our staff, Duncan Hamilton, that'll be joining us. Also the MLA Jody Byram, MLA Trevor King, and MLA Richard Pershot. I'd also like to welcome the department as well too, and I look forward to our conversation today. Thank you.
I'd like to remind all members during Committee of Supply, we refer to members by their constituency names or portfolios going forward. Great, thank you. We thank the member for your comments. Under Manitoba practice, debate on the minister's salary is the last item considered for a department in the Committee of Supply. Accordingly, we shall now defer consideration of line item 3.1A contained in Resolution 3.1. At this time, we invite the minister's staff to join us at the table. Come on up, please. And we ask that the minister introduces the staff in attendance. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure to introduce Deputy Minister Brenda De Serrano. I'd like to introduce Assistant Deputy Minister Maurice Bouvier, ADM Executive Financial Officer Kevin Crocker. And I'd like to also introduce Assistant Deputy Minister Joe Funk. Back there. Also, Assistant Deputy Minister Patty Rottenberger. And last but not least, MASC Chief Executive Officer Jared Monroe. Sorry. Oh, introduce my Chief of Staff individual, Chris Sanderson.
According to our Rule 7816, during the consideration of departmental estimates, questioning for each department shall proceed in a global manner with questions put separately on all resolutions once the official opposition critic indicates that the questioning has concluded. The floor is now open for questions. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to start with something that's very current. We've seen China has been threatening trade actions against Canada's agricultural products. So I'd like to give the minister the opportunity to speak to that and how the department is working with the federal government to ensure our ag products, farmers and industry exports are not caught up in these trade disputes. And I'd like to ask the minister to identify the potential impacts and costs to our producers when tariffs are added to exports by countries like China. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the question. And, you know, when we have these circumstances that recently China has brought forward a tariff or potential tariff in discussion, it's hard to measure, you know, the length and the impact, but I think in reality, barley, back a number of years ago, Australia went through a very similar situation, such as this. And unfortunately, it was over 2 years before there was a bit of an understanding of a settlement based on World WTO's judgment. Being totally honest, you know, this process is quite a lengthy process as far as in discussion moving forward, where the impacts, I think, are very, very concerning for our agriculture producers. And hypothetically speaking, if this is a prolonged scenario, obviously the impact will be this, is the producers will have to make a judgment whether they're going to grow canola next year or not, unless this is settled sooner than later. And that is a very, very difficult situation given the complex of this kind of a scenario, basically talking about the impact of the trade that China has placed on us. So the producers will be very concerned in a number of factions. And I think if I can sum it up, it's going to be a really challenging mental issue for a lot of the agriculture producers, because the reality, if we extend this into the early springs, there are always pre-bookings of next year's crop production. So it's basically a tsunami, in my honest opinion, that we can really say that there's a simplified session. I'm going to have to be honest with you. There is no way that there is no simplified method, because it is a very complex motivation where you have the Canadian Council bringing forward a judgment with some producers. Then you have the China government making their opinions, and then it eventually comes to the WTO. And there really isn't, there is a timeline of November the 8th of ruling coming down sooner than later. But beyond that, depending upon the investigation, it could take quite a long time, quite easily into the following year, no problem. So I'm just going to be repetitious of the fact that the trade challenges will have some real challenges for producers, not only this year, but in the next year's opportunity. And I think we all know that, you know, the commodity prices is X, and who knows where it may land up. As when the announcement was made that there was going to be a tariff, we noticed the canola prices really took a bit of a dive. No ruling has been brought forward, so the canola prices have come back a bit. But I think it's safe to say that until the judgment comes down, it's a very uncomfortable ground to be on for producers for next year. I do want to share also with members opposite that I've had the challenge, or I had the opportunity, or the department has been talking to a number of organizations, but just this morning, actually, we were on a phone call with the minister from Alberta, and unfortunately, the ag minister from Saskatchewan, or we assume he's going to remain agriculture minister, but the deputy minister was online. Also, we had a conversation with the ag minister from Ontario, and basically talking about how do we start to move forward of developing an opportunity of discussion with the federal minister. I do want to share with you is that when the announcement was made about the potential WTO or the tariff, we had sent a letter to the federal agriculture minister just addressing our importance of this subject, and we're definitely going to be in conversation with the department, because federal government department, that we need to somewhat have a constant communication moving forward for the benefit of the canola growers across Canada and our importance of agriculture or canola trade in the province of Manitoba.
The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Minister, you brought up some very valid points there regarding pre-bookings and things such as that, with pre-booking of both herbicide, fungicide, seed itself, fertilizer. So what is this government's plan, again, with the price of canola that has plummeted and looks like it is going to continue to plummet? Because of the amount of canola that is grown in Manitoba and the size of our marketplace here, is there anything that this government is doing to protect those farmers that have already pre-bought or are looking at pre-buying fertilizer, chemical, or seed? Thank you.
Just a reminder to all members that questions and answers must come through the chair. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much again for the question, MLA from Portage. No, this, I guess we can sit back and surmise what do we do next, and I think it's fair to say, in my opinion, November 8 is the day that the decision, I guess, that may take place. I'm very proud of our staff with the Department of Agriculture and our specialists when we talk about certain circumstances. So I just want to share this with you and the group, is that hypothetically, if we're into kind of the worst scenario, we have our extension specialists that can work with producers. Obviously, if canola is going to be a challenge with no timelines established of making a decision, our specialists are prepared to work with producers and to hopefully help them, assist them in making the best decisions or ideas as we move forward, whether it's the seed or fertilizer purchases. I want to emphasize the importance when we spoke to the other agriculture ministers, and obviously they had said, November 8 is going to be the turning buckle timeline. And I want to assure the MLA from Portage and the committee that we've all agreed to get together as soon as there's a decision made so we can start planning our further discussions with the federal minister. And obviously, we value our conversations with Global Affairs Canada, which is quite involved in the canola in Canada as far as one organization speaking on our behalf of canola producers. One of the other things I think is very key and business risk insurance programs, and I stress the importance of MASC and business risk insurance because things like these come into play. So the business risk management program, the Ag Stability Program, has been around and basically does provide a bit of comfortness, and I use that word loosely, of protections to protect margins. Just yesterday, our staff was out to one of the farm business specialists and did a presentation to some producers. So I think the producers are well aware of talking to their accountants or moving ahead of preparing for, hopefully it doesn't exist, but I think that's being proactive to explore options that does exist. It's been somewhat of a bit of a comfortness to a point. The price of canola, when the announcement was made, took a major dive, and I don't know if MLA from Portage has checked recently, but the price has recovered basically to what it was prior to the announcement being made. Now, whether that's a comfort level of profitability, given how the harvest went this year, but basically the price today is almost back to what it was prior to the announcement of the tariff challenge. So I think closing off my commentary today is that I think we've got discussions with the Canadian Canola Council, Manitoba Canola Council. We've got ag ministers across the province that, across Canada, Western Canada more so in Ontario, that once a decision comes down on November 8, then we'll kick into phase 2 opportunity, and then we start our conversations with them again and with producers, canola councils, which are quite involved, obviously, as being the lead. We, as the agriculture minister, don't want to interfere, but definitely we're there in support. Also having a very fruitful conversation with the federal minister and trying to examine any opportunities of the business risk program to build a bit of comfortness for the agriculture producers that will be in challenge in trying to decide what they're going to grow next year as far as a crop. So Thank you.
The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. We saw agriculture exports reached $8.8 billion. That's on page 17 of the supplement. A 13% increase over 2021 and represents more than a third of all Manitoba's exports, which totaled 20.7 in 2022. With rising commodity prices, how can the department and government better support our producers and industry in growing these exports through improved production? And could more loans be available to support growing production investments in technology, grain, and feed storage space? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much for the question, and there was so much information that I wanted to make sure I got right and share with the panel and the people in attendance. When we're talking about, Manitoba is very unique along with a number of the western provinces or eastern provinces as well. And when the question is asked, what can we do to enhance opportunities for the agriculture sector? And I've said this numerous times, the best thing we can do is enhance added value. I guess to maybe put it in another context. Let's take the raw product that we grow in the province here in Manitoba, and let's not ship it out in truckloads or train loads of opportunity. Let's put it in a package. Let's put it together in a finished commodity that we can create more jobs, more opportunities of added value in the province of Manitoba, more jobs, more income, and more opportunity to expand. And maybe even to small communities that will increase the populations of our communities, increase our school numbers, and maybe revive some of our smaller communities as we see the importance of rural Manitoba in a big way. So it's a win-win situation as far as the added value commodity. And you know what? Manitoba has one of the lowest hydro rates in Canada. And why would people not want to come here and take advantage of the plentiful amount of water and lower hydro rates that we have and continue to work for the... And actually, at the end of the day, it probably will turn out to be a cheaper cost to our farmers that produce the product and have it processed here, rather than been dealing with maybe large freight cost of moving of the raw product to some other country or other province. It's not going to be all 100%, but I want to assure, at least we create an opportunity of added value and explore those opportunities. I think there's a great opportunity moving forward. So staying focused on that subject of added value, we can do it within our province, we can do it within our country, but our neighbors to the south, and I know that yourself have been involved in a number of trips down south, and I just recently returned from the Tri-National Court and had some really, really important positive conversations. And, our neighbors to the south and to Mexico has, I think, a world of opportunity of trade, of commodities that become. And adding to that, traditionally we would be using the ships and docks. Now with the recent announcement of the Kansas City Rail and CP becoming kind of a corridor of opportunity of movement of rail by the rail system. So now you've got commodities that can be brought out or exported to either Mexico or the U.S. No difference on the CN side in Burlington North is an opportunity that I think we've just germinated the seed of opportunities of economic growth of the products we grow in this province or across Western Canada. And I think we just need to do a continuing working relationships, such as attending the Minnesota State Fair recently and met with the commissioner there. And, there is so much in common that we have with the state of Minnesota and a working relationship that I think just needs to be nurtured in an appropriate fashion. The business partnership relationship that we have in the Department of Agriculture. And let's be realistic. The fact is that the world population continues to grow. And we, in Manitoba, in Canada, partnering with the U.S. or Mexico, creates that avenue of addressing the world population, of providing food for those countries that need it. And I think we are in a position, just a matter of moving forward in a positive sense. But I also want to opportune the fact that we got the Food Development Center in Portage la Prairie, and we talked about new innovative foods that could be developed. That to me is kind of the commercial chef kitchen to experiment with some of the raw product we grow here, put it into a package, and it's CFI certified through the Food Development Center. So I stress the importance of, sorry.
Honorable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the answer, Minister. I'm going to refer to page 8 in the supplement on this next question. Your total budget for the fiscal year is $597 million, which is more than you spent last year, but less than was budgeted in 23, which was $613 million. Does the minister expect to remain on budget for the fiscal year, or will he finish under budget or over budget this year? And can the minister and department provide a breakdown of what is all included in the $597 million? How much is being spent on core department operations? How much is being spent on MASC and other farm programs and assistance to farmers and industry?
So just a reminder to the committee that all questions need to be put through the chair. Yeah. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you for the question, and so I'll read off from the text. Financial and administrative services, 2024 to 25 budget is $3,937,000. Risk management credit income support programs is $542,645,000. I'll just round them off, if that's okay. Okay. Industry advancement is $22,200,000. Agriculture production innovation and resilience is $13,629,000. The strategy planning, policy, and programs is $13,432,000. Cost related to capital assets is $1,142,000 XX. So, and inter-fund activity is $221,000. The second quarter report, department is on budget. The summary is slightly under. And budget underseated?
It's slightly
Yeah.
under due to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The unseated acres.
Right, so I'm sorry. The summary is slightly under budget due to unseeded acres. Okay? Excess moisture. Okay. Does that answer your question?
You're good.
Yeah.
The honorable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. Switching topics here somewhat. What political staff work out of the minister's office or within their purview? Please provide names, titles, and pay scales. Has there been any change in political staff from between the initial staffing of your office and now? And can the minister describe the duties of the political staff listed?
The Honorable Minister.
Yes, thank you for the question, and I'll go right to the questions. The political staff, Director of Municipal or Ministerial Affairs is Christopher Sanderson. Outreach Coordinator is Brandon Burley, and Executive Assistant to the Minister is Charlene Gulak. So I'll give you a little bit more insight. Duties for the Municipal Affairs, Christopher Sanderson acts as a political advisor, manages stakeholder relations, attends every meeting, has a role in speech writing and editing documents, works across departments with other staff, reviews Treasury Board and Cabinet submissions, and works with the ABC committees, and works with other political staff in the office. The duties of the Outreach Coordinator, Brandon Burley. Mr. Burley works as a liaison between families, businesses, community organizations in southern Manitoba and the Manitoba government. We've been very clear, no matter what part of province you are from, being in Winnipeg or Agro, Manitoba, we're here to represent you. Brandon works through my office and acts as a liaison between the Premier's office, Cabinet, and stakeholders in the Pembina Valley region. He's an excellent addition to our team. I know Brandon is serving our agriculture communities as well. Pleased to see this ongoing work with the community leaders and agribusinesses. It is my understanding that the previous PC government had a position of the community liaison with the Agriculture Minister office, and we have continued that approach. Duties of our executive assistant, Charlene Gulak. Charlene works with my Director of Ministerial Affairs in my constituency office. She handles great volumes of casework and is the eyes and ears of the department. She also represents me in my absence, and Charlene comes with a wealth of experience, having previously served on the Economic Development Officer and a school trustee. And there are no additional FTEs added. Okay.
The Honorable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. Are there any additional political staff or technical officers that work with the minister, such as communication staff, issues management, other support roles, etc.? Do these staff work solely with the minister, or are they shared among other departments? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Yes, there are additional political staff in the Ministry of Agriculture. Jeanette Selve is a policy manager. Caden Malone is a press secretary. And William O'Connor, issues manager. And they do work closely with multiple other departments as well.
The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. The department has many contracts with outside service providers. Some tendered, some directly awarded. 27 of 46 contracts disclosed by the department in 2024 to date were directly awarded or sole sourced, or approximately 60%. I'd like to ask about a direct award contract, number 450-134-4281, dated July 26, 2024, to Nathan Dewick. The rationale listed is that the provider possesses specific and/or unique knowledge and/or abilities. Can you please explain what Mr. Dewick was contracted to do for the department and what his specific or unique abilities were? Is it ordinary practice for the minister to issue direct award contracts to political staff employed by other ministers? In this instance, the Minister of Finance, and I will table the documents. Mr. Dewick, order in council, Nathan Dewick is appointed to the position of issues manager within the classification of professional officer with a salary range and where applicable, and this is to the Minister of Finance. That was dated June 26, 2024. Dated on this one is July 25th, when Mr. Dewick was paid another $15,245 by the Department of Agriculture, and I will table those documents.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you for the question. So I just a bit of clarification based on the assumption by member. Nathan served through agriculture under the contract for a period earlier this year. He supported the work of my office, including research, analyzation, policy development, elevation, strategic advice, and communication. He is a remarkable young individual, and obviously he made an impression on others in our government and decided to move him on from the contract position into a permanent role starting in June. His contract ended prior to this employment in finance on June the 24th. And I think it's worth noting is that the website date indicates when it was uploaded to the website, not when his contract ended on service, right? So I think that's maybe the challenging understanding of when this date was used was when it was uploaded to the website, not his term of contract in the department. So the website shows that the date the information was uploaded is not the date of the contract or the date of the payment of the contract. Okay. And that is it. Yeah.
The Honorable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you for the answer on that, Minister. I'm going to cede the floor to the MLA from Lakeside.
The Honorable Member for Lakeside.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I know in the Minister's opening remarks, he talked about 225 million budget for sustainability. So, and I'm assuming that would take in the Sustainable Agriculture Manitoba, the SAM program, and the Cropland Management Program. Thinking that's where the funding come out of. You could probably clarify that for me. I know I had a constituent that had applied for some money under that program for the NEXAT system, and the NEXAT system was a piece of equipment that you could do all applications with one machine, which meant not as much tracking on the land, not as much packing on the land, which would keep a lot of the soil from being compacted. And thought it was a great program, and this was something that he was going to maybe try out and bring over into the province and perhaps become a dealer if it became popular. But anyways, I guess my question would be to the minister is, so what the amount of money went to the SAM, to the Sustainable Agriculture Manitoba, and what amount is going to the Cropland Management Program? And can you name some of the approved applications and projects that were applied for that program in the past year throughout this budget year? Yeah.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much for the question, and MLA for Lakeside. So part of the sustainable CAP or agriculture program and its acronym SAM, which is Sustainable Agriculture Manitoba. SAM provides funding to farmers to implement cost-shared beneficial management practices, BMPs, that increases the environmental and the economic sustainability of agriculture operations in Manitoba. Priority areas include climate change adaptation and mitigation, air quality, water quality, soil health, and biodiversity. In the intake of number one, the program, SAM, provided $5.4 million in funding sustainable CAP, environmental climate change priority areas, and for 97 beneficial management practices projects. There are 3 program streams, cropland management streams, including funding to support adaptation of cropland management practices to optimize the operations and improve the productivity, providing $1.4 million funding for 48 projects across 7 different beneficial management practices. So that was a definition of what was awarded in the last year. Manure and livestock management stream includes funding to support adaptation for practices that enhances livestock feed efficiencies, improving manure application and transportation, and supporting composting manure. Providing $3.7 million funding through SAM for 29 projects across 4 different beneficial management practices. Number 3, water management stream includes funding to support for the adaptation of practices that enhances and supplies efficiency use, quality, and management of water, providing $280,000 funding for 20 projects across 5 different beneficial management practices. Sustainable Agriculture Incentive Programs, which is acronym SAIP, supports objectives under the Made in Manitoba Climate and Green Plan. Funding for SAIP is a source of sub-appropriation of totaling approximately $1.5 million. So I want to give you some examples, and I think maybe to the MLA from Lakeside referring to this, I think there was a project I remember, I think it's something to do with reduced tillage intensity, I think it was one of them, or a low disturbance of placement of seed and fertilizer. Maybe this is all the same project. So these are some examples, and reduced pesticide use through these programs, and perennial cover for sensitive land. So that sensitive land being lighter land or alkali type of soils. These are some examples of the various projects that we do with producers or organizations moving forward. Hopefully I answered your question.
The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I'd like to cede the floor to the member from La Vérendrye.
The Honourable Member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. And my question for the Minister is, what has been spent in the last fiscal year on Manitoba Clean Farms initiative, and how many farms that those resources have been able to serve?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you so much for the question, and, value the importance of the Clean Farm Manitoba, what they do and how they're involved with the pesticide container removal and stuff. So basically, I think I guess first and foremost, to refer to the fiscal year, we're only halfway through our fiscal year as far as expenditure goes, so, halfway through it, not total expenditure for the year. I think the question that's been posed, I think it's more suitable through the Environment and Minister Smith's department, Environmental and Climate Change Department. And, but definitely, I think there's value of the Clean Farms Initiative program, and to our knowledge, there has been no, application towards funding support as far as the sustainable SCAP program, but I basically just would say that if there's an opportunity of interest, and I think there's an opportunity to have some discussion with the other department as well, the Sustainable and Environmental Department. Okay? That's it.
Just a reminder to all members, in Committee of Supply, we just need to refer to folks by their constituencies or portfolios. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to go back to Mr. Duick here again. During the time Mr. Duick supposedly worked for the minister, he introduced himself as reporting to the as reporting directly to the Premier's Chief of Staff. Is the minister here today aware that he's footing the bill for? Is the minister aware of footing the bill for any other hidden executive council staff? And again, I just want to go back again to the order in council. It was dated on July 3rd, 2024, but saying in number 1 that it was effective on June 26th, 2024. And then on July 25th, 2024, there was an extra $15,245 for other professional services from Mr. Duick. So is the minister aware of any other council staff that might be working in his department?
The Honourable Minister.
Yes, thank you for the question, MLA from Portage. So I just want to ensure the member that Nathan served through agriculture under the contract period earlier this year. He supported the work of my office, including research, analyzation, policy development and evaluation, strategic advice, and communication. Obviously, he made an impression in the department as our government decided to move on from the contract position into a permanent role starting in June of 2024. His contract ended prior to his employment in finance, June the 26th. The website shows that the date that the information was uploaded, not the date of the contract or the date of the payment of the contract. So at this point in time, I think I've been fairly straightforward in my commentary, so that's it.
The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, Honourable Minister, you have set the goal to promote innovation and research in agriculture sector, including opportunities to expand regenerative agriculture. Can you identify some of the initiatives and the projects within the department that are investing in innovation and research, and the areas where you are partnering with industry or private sector?
The Honourable Minister.
Yes, I'd like to add something for the record regarding a previous subject, MLA Portage. So I just want to make a statement regarding Nathan's employment. So Nathan worked as part of the team in support of any work in any other areas of government. You want me to repeat that? No. No? Okay. Right. I just want to add that on and for the record. Okay? Second question, sorry. Yeah,
yeah.
sure. And thanks, MLA from Portage. So the Science and Innovation Extension Branch program, and let me tell you, this is very important for future opportunities as far as the agriculture goes. So let me just start off by saying the 2024-25 budget is $5.4 million. A total of 41 FTEs are involved in the program. So let me break down some of the different components of what money's been invested in and who's all involved in it. The crop diversification centers, and I think you're quite familiar with those, MLA from Portage. So we've got Melita, we've got Roblin, Manitoba, we've got Carberry and Arborg. So those are for the crop diversification centers in the province of Manitoba. And it's hard to believe 10,266 plots in the year of 2024 and 25. The regional extensions provide 7 crop extension specialists, 6 livestock and forage extension specialists located across the province, host extended events with specialized focus on relevant local issues. So, just given the 4 geographic areas, they are very unique soils. Maybe topographics, the soil conditions, I think is very key. So it's very appropriately placed in these geographic areas. Working closely with the agriculture production on the weekly crops, reports, and pest surveillance activities. The Research and Innovation organizes 7-unit meetings with the University of Manitoba to identify and address research gaps and ways to collaborate. Willing to work with academia, industry on developing an agriculture research framework for Manitoba. And the research innovation funding is sustainable cap funding intake, one approved for a total of $8.4 million and with 47 of applications. Intake were 2 approved for a total of $7.9 million and a total of 54 applications. The intake, 3 received 58 full proposal applications. Now, another component is Manitoba crop variety elevation trials. So the regional crop variety testing program, the budget was $46,000 in 2024. So just to give you a better understanding, in the crop variety elevation trial, elevation was 23 spring wheat varieties, 16 barley, 13 oats varieties, 20 pea varieties, 3 flax, 15 forage varieties, 6 winter wheat varieties, 7 fall varieties, and 102 soybean varieties, which I think you're quite familiar with, 47 dry beans, 12 faba bean varieties, and 12 lupin entries across Manitoba sites, totaling, and I'll repeat this twice, 7,230 plots in 2024-25. So let me say that again, 7,230 plots in 2024-25. So all this work is with commodity associations and various research and innovation projects. And I want to emphasize the importance of the University of Manitoba being involved in their innovation farms and the Richardson farmers as well. So thank you for my chance.
The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you so much for the answer to that question, Minister. Although I've got a ton more questions here to ask with the timing that we have, and I'd just like to put on the record that I think for the next time we do this, we should try and have a little more time for this. But I think it's time now to move on to the resolutions, if that's okay. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions at the moment, Resolution 3.2, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $172,194,000 for agriculture risk management, credit, and income support programs for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2025. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. Resolution 3.3, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $22,204,000 for agriculture industry advancement for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2025. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. Resolution 3.4. Resolution 3.4, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $13,629,000 for agriculture production, innovation, and resilience for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2025. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. Resolution 3.5, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $13,432,000 for agriculture strategic planning, policy, and programs for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2025. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. Resolution 3.6, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $2,585,000 for agriculture capital assets for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2025. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. Resolution 3.7, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $247,430,000 for agriculture loans and guarantees programs for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2025. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. Sorry, nobody said pass. Oh. Pass. My apologies. The resolution is accordingly passed. The hour being 5 o'clock. Committee rise.